Are you looking to land a job or start a brand new career chapter in Canada this 2025? Then the very first thing you need to do is to apply for a Canadian work permit. In today's video, I'll be walking you through everything you need to know about the Canadian work permit in 2025. I will talk about eligibility, required documents, cost, and how to apply. But before we get started, if you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Shasha, and on this channel, we bring you latest travel information, visa updates, work and study abroad opportunities. If this sounds like your kind of thing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Now let's dive into it. First things first, what is a Canadian work permit? It is your official permission to work legally in Canada, and there are two main types you need to know about. We have the employer-specific work permit and the open work permit. With the employer-specific work permit, you're tied to one job, one employer, and in one location. Usually, this kind of work permit requires an LMIA, which is also known as the Labor Market Impact Assessment. This document is to show that no other eligible Canadian citizen or holder of permanent residence was available to take the job, and that's why they have to give you the job. And the open work permit, it is much more flexible because you are not tied to one employer like the employer-specific work permit. With an open work permit, you're free to work for any employer and work in any part of Canada. This kind of work permit is typically issued to the spouses of skilled workers, international students, or to students who just graduated from Canadian colleges or institutions. Now let's talk eligibility. Here's what you will need to do to qualify for a Canadian work permit in 2025. First, you will need a valid job offer from a Canadian employer. And yes, this employer will need to provide a positive LMIA. If you are applying for an open work permit, you must be in the group of those who can apply. That is, you need to be the spouse of a skilled worker, a student, or a recent graduate from a Canadian institution. A passport that is valid beyond 6 months of your planned entry date. A medical exam, that is if you will work in healthcare, childcare, or you're going to stay more than 6 months. So you only need a medical exam if you're working with healthcare, childcare, or you're going to stay longer than 6 months in Canada. If you do not plan to stay or work in Canada for more than 6 months, then you do not need a medical exam. A police certificate to prove that you do not have any criminal record. And finally, proof of funds. You will need to provide funds or to show that you're able to support yourself and family if applicable. That's if you're applying with your family. You need to show that you have enough money to support yourself for at least 3 months. It doesn't matter if you're going to Canada to work. Even if you're going to work, you still need to show the proof of funds. And now a quick breakdown of the cost and processing times in 2025. The cost for applying for an employer-specific work permit will cost 155 Canadian dollars, and it usually takes about 4 to 12 weeks for it to get processed. Cost for an open work permit will be 255 Canadian dollars, and it takes 6 to 10 weeks for it to be processed. Biometrics, 85 Canadian dollars per person. And the cost for medical exam will be 100 to 250 depending on the clinic. And processing times varies from country to country and season. So it is important to always check the IRCC website for the most updated information. So how do you actually apply? Here is a step-by-step guide on how to apply for your Canadian work permit. Gather your documents, job offer, passport, educational credentials, proof of funds, and anything else needed. Create an IRCC account on canada.ca. Choose work permit, apply online. Fill in your information. Upload your documents and pay the required fee. Submit your biometrics at a visa application center. Book and complete your medical exam if needed. Track your application status through your online account. Once approved, you're good to go. And that's your 2025 Canadian Work Permit Guide made simple. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe for more updates, and drop your questions in the comments. I always reply.